I'm back under this beautiful tree. It's a lovely day today in London. No rain today, but that's how it is. Rain today, whatever. So anyway, I wanted to weigh in on this Chris Larsen issue about him dumping XRP. Did he dump XRP? Did he sell? You know, what does that mean for the future of XRP? Does he no longer believe in XRP? First of all, I did a little bit of digging and I found a lot of opinion in both directions. There's some people who think, you know, hey, the guy is selling so that he could decentralize a little bit. And they made an argument that, you know, if he didn't do that, then as we go along, the issue of decentralization will come up. You know, why is so much of it centered you know, with just one guy? Why does this guy have so much? And then, you know, you have people who will be bemoaning the fact that this whole thing happened when XRP was gathering momentum and it was reaching a certain height. That's also fair enough. Yeah. So anyway, the first thing I wanted to mention is that I couldn't actually find any actual evidence that he actually sold the tokens. I know that he moved the tokens, and also, you know, obviously I didn't go through the transactions myself on the blockchain. I'm just going off of research that other people have done, articles that people have written, etc. It seems to have moved the tokens in 4 different steps, or 4 different separate transactions at least. And each transaction seems to be doing something different. Now, earlier on, it appeared that he moved from one wallet that we know to be his wallet to an unknown wallet. So to a wallet, the owner of which we have no idea. So that would suggest some kind of OTC trade. But, you know, I would like to see what the counter transaction of that is. Was there a Bitcoin moving to his wallet, for instance, of a similar value? Is there a cash settlement? That in and of itself would be quite interesting. Did he sell for Bitcoin? Did he sell for cash? I think that'd be quite interesting information, actually. I would like to know that, because, you know, that actually has impact going forward. Let's assume that this was in fact an OTC deal. Okay, fine. So that wouldn't have moved the market in a technical way. The only way that would move the market is if it created FUD in the system. And because of that, people started to sell as well, because they thought maybe, you know, if someone of this caliber is selling, then there's something bad coming or whatever. And then there is evidence of transactions moving to, say, Coinbase, for instance, where there's a lot of liquidity, or other exchanges. Now, obviously, that signifies that he's trying to sell on the market. And people said that coincided with the sharp decline that we saw. So my previous belief was that the decline was due to market makers messing with the system, FUD from, you know, whales who then sold and caused the decline, and, you know, feeding off of the pausing of the license, the banking license that Ripple applied for. But it would seem that there is some evidence that there was some dumping also from, you know, such a large wallet. Now, again, I think there's enough buying to sustain that level of sales, unless, of course, if the FOMO was married to people wanting to get out, you know, the big FUD, liquidations, you know, so you couldn't buy enough, right? So whatever the actual technical details are, my opinion on this is this. First of all, I can see what the people are saying about decentralization, because let's say that he believes that the price was going to $100 each. When will he sell? If he sells at $100, people will make the exact same noise as they're making now. So actually, I'd much rather have him sell now than sell at $100, because it takes fewer dollars to clear out his XRP than later on, when he could completely obliterate the market if we were to dump at $100. Second thing, a man has full control of his own property. So, you know, let the guy do what he wants with his own money. The fact that we think XRP is going to do well has nothing to do with Chris Larsen or Brad Garlinghouse. Obviously, we appreciate their efforts. We can see that they're working hard, and we can see that Ripple is under strong leadership. But our conviction in this shouldn't lie on, the big holders of the token. I, for one, think let the man do what he wants with his tokens. If you, as an XRP holder, also want to sell, you should be able to sell without anybody scrutinizing you. Or, this is not a cult, right? You're not bound by any sort of legal requirements or social requirements not to sell. So if you want to sell, not financial advice, do your own research, you should be able to sell without feeling bad about it, okay? Now, yes, it does rub people the wrong way that this happened when XRP was garnering a lot of momentum. And I can see how this could have actually, kneecapped the momentum a little bit and paused the momentum and caused a downturn. Had there not been this whole thing, yes, maybe it would be in proper price discovery now, maybe over $4 or what have you. But, all this does for me, in my point of view, not financial advice, do your own research, is it delays things a little bit. It kicks the can along, just as it's been kicking for the last 7 years. So it's just another thing that's kicked the can. I saw an article today that one relatively respected analyst basically is now advising people not to buy XRP, because if you're buying XRP now, apparently you are serving as exit liquidity for Chris Larsen. Well, again, this is true, but think about this. No matter when you buy, someone is selling. So you are serving as exit liquidity for somebody, no matter when. Now, let's say Chris Larsen wasn't selling, other whales were selling, right? Your exit liquidity for those whales, right? So this whole sort of exit liquidity thing, I don't know why that's such a big deal. Again, let people sell where they want to sell. Let people buy when they want to buy. If the token is any good, if the project is worth its weight in salt, as they say, the only way is up, okay? And having done my own research, it is my conviction that this token is going somewhere. There's a lot happening. There's a big future for this token, and I think it's going places. Yes, I know it's a bad look that Larsen appears to be dumping, but the guy is a billionaire, right? He's worth 9 point something billion dollars. So 200 million, it's significant, but it's not as significant to him as it is to us, right? So again, take that with a pinch of salt, have some perspective, and do your own thing. In other news, right, non-Chris Larsen related, I've seen some mumblings about tokenization of real world assets. Now when we talk about tokenization of real world assets and the competition that Ripple as a company has and the XRP ledger has, I'm starting to see unscrupulous activity by some of these people. Now, I read an article about Robinhood offering tokenized private shares. I think it was OpenAI, and they're starting to get into trouble with that because OpenAI didn't give permission. And when you tokenize private shares, you are leaving out some of those things that make it private. So while you might, synthesize the price and peg it to the ups and downs of the price, you can't synthesize the things that you don't know, like some legal requirements, some NDAs. For instance, some of these private shares might require you to first offer shares back to other members of the private group or back to the company, and not to sell to someone who's not in the in group, right? And in a way, this is a way to protect the share because they're private, they're not public. Now with public shares, all the information is public. People can openly trade public shares anyway. There are usually no restrictions with that. So tokenizing those is often much easier to do and less legally problematic. But this is why the likes of Ripple are crossing their T's and dotting their I's, because different jurisdictions have different rules, different products, have different legal requirements, right? So even though they have the ability to do it, the XRP ledger is ready to do things like this. They're not just willy-nilly tokenizing anything randomly. They are acquiring companies that have a track record, that have, you know, an established team, that have, you know, the know-how, the experience in the field. They're acquiring companies that have that experience and have that know-how to make sure that everything is compliant and everything is hunky-dory. Some of these companies now also delving into securities, and if they're not registered, they become unregistered securities. The SEC is not a big fan of that, and they will succumb to the very long arm of the law eventually. So not all competition is solid competition for Ripple, which again is why I'm a big fan of the XRP ledger, XRP and Ripple and what they're doing. Not financial advice. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy the rest of this amazing day. Do your own research. I'll see you next one. Peace.